Hello, Southwest Airlines customers. First, please accept our apologies for the significant operational disruption. I do have some information for customers here at the airport looking to be rebooked on canceled or missed connections. At this time, we expect additional cancellations over the upcoming days as we work to stabilize our flight network. Unfortunately, our next available seats for rebooking are on the 31st and beyond. Once again, our next available seats for rebooking customers at this time is at the 31st and beyond.
That was moments ago at Hobby Airport, and this is live from Hobby as airport officials and HPD give us a briefing to explain exactly what passengers and travelers can expect over the coming days.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jay McVeigh with Southwest Airlines. Obviously facing some operational challenges this evening with Winter Storm Elliott. That has kind of moved on to include some challenges with our flight crews being stuck in locations not where they need to be along with the aircraft. You know, at this point, we're working to accommodate our customers as best we can and offer the most options that we can to get folks back home or to their vacation spots or holiday celebration spot at this point. You know, we're trying to work the lines as quickly as possible to offer folks the options to get them to a hotel, whether they need a ride service, a bus, a shuttle. We're very thankful that we've had some incredible cooperation with the City of Houston to assist us with hotels and shuttles just to try to get our customers accommodated as quickly as possible. You know, at that point, this is the main focus right now, is to try to take care of our customers as quickly as we can and get them out of this line and with their loved ones or somewhere where they can get some rest. It's obviously been a very long week with the storm, so that's our primary concern. Any questions y'all have for us?
How did we get here?
So with Winter Storm Elliott starting on the West Coast and sweeping across the East Coast, the biggest challenge that we faced was incredible delays to the point where we had to cancel flights due to snow, people getting to the airport, people leaving the airport. As the storm continued to sweep across the country, it continued to impact many of our larger stations, and so the cancellations just compiled one after another to 100, to 150, to 1,000. With those cancellations, and as a result, we end up with flight crews and airplanes that are out of place and not in the cities that they need to be in to continue to run our operations. So that is ultimately exactly how we ended up where we are. It's trying to get our flight crews back in the cities where they need to be to operate our flight schedule and reaccommodate everyone that we can.
We've had other storms, but this seems more significant. Are there other issues operationally here at play with your rebooking system or crews and scheduling?
There really hasn't. I think it's just the sheer size of the storm. You know, being here in Houston, we face many tropical systems, hurricanes, you know, the of course, historical winter storm that we faced, you know, a couple of years ago. It's just the fact that this one started west, swept east, and impacted almost every single one of our largest airports that put us in a position where we struggled to recover and we struggled to get our flight crews and airplanes where they needed to be. You know, just about the time that we would get a runway clear in Denver and get airplanes de-iced and ready to go, that snow and ice was starting to impact St. Louis, Kansas City, Chicago, and it just snowballed all the way across the country. So we've been chasing our tails trying to catch up and get back to normal safely, which is our #1 priority, as quickly as we could. And that's exactly how we ended up where we are today.
The president of the Southwest Airlines Pilot Association told us that they're having scheduling issues too. Some pilots and flight attendants waiting 8 to 9 hours to be scheduled. So I know you're mentioning weather, but aside from weather, I mean, are you guys having technology issues too, trying to schedule these crews out who are obviously going through this as well?
I'm glad you asked that clarification, so I have the opportunity to clarify. So with our folks that have to call the department that we refer to as pilot or flight attendant scheduling, with the sheer number of cancellations, and on our particular airplanes, you either have a crew of 5 or you have a crew of 6, depending on the aircraft. With that, you now have 5 or 6 employees that need to call a number and find out, my flight was canceled, am I being reassigned to a different flight going somewhere else. Once it started on the West Coast, that was an efficient process like it always is, but once it went to 300 cancellations, 500 cancellations, now you have times 5 or 6 calling that 800 number to speak to the schedules to get kind of reaccommodated or reassigned on another flight, and that ultimately just snowballed as well and ended up with the extreme wait times that we've had. So not so much technology as it was sheer manpower to answer all of these calls and reassign pilots and flight attendants to the flights they need to be on. I don't know if it needs to be re-evaluated as much as it does ensuring that there's the availability of people to answer those calls quicker and get the crews reaccommodated quicker so we can keep the jets, the flight attendants and the pilots, and of course our customers moving in a more efficient manner.
But you guys did feel you had enough manpower to fill all of the flights that were scheduled this holiday season?
Oh yes, absolutely. There were no staffing challenges for Southwest Airlines whatsoever. When it came down to this, it was just the sheer size of the storm as it grew, moving from west to east, and the impacts. You know, there were some locations like in Denver where it was more blowing dry snow, but it was the sheer amount. As to where it moves across the Midwest, it's more of the wet snow that we sometimes experience, which creates a whole other set of challenges. But we've had we've had sufficient staffing the entire time to address and operate our flight schedule. It's once the storm dropped in the middle of it, that just sent the system reeling, if you will, for lack of a better term.
Obviously, a lot of frustrated passengers now that won't be able to get rebooked until December 31st. It's a long time. That's several days that probably put a wrench either on their family holiday. We talked to people that were just headed to the oil fields to continue working, who will now have to drive. What would you say to those people, the hundreds of people in line who have waited 5 hours for answers?
For those customers, you know, first and foremost, obviously our focus is safety. That is our primary focus over and above, you know, our legendary hospitality. It has to be safety. So we want to make sure that we operate these flights safely and that we have the flight crews that have legal and sufficient time to operate these flights. That's the number one. Then we move on to the hospitality piece. With that, in general Southwest fashion, when we have struggles like this, first and foremost, we absolutely apologize. Hospitality is I'll say number two behind the safety aspect, as it should be, but we do apologize to our customers. We will do everything that we need to do to right the challenges that we've had right now, including while we are, you know, willing to offer hotels, ride assistance, vans, whatever that looks like, rental cars, to try and make sure these folks get home as quickly as possible.
I've heard these flights canceled before people got to the airport. We talked to some customers who were actually waiting at their gate. We heard announcements on the intercom, hey, the pilot's here, the crew's not, and then hours later they realize it's canceled.
That has been a significant challenge for us, and that is a fantastic question. Our goal is, if we're going to have to cancel a flight, when we have the knowledge, we want to do that as far out as possible so we don't have customers at the airport inconvenienced and standing in lines. With this scenario where we have flight crews that are assigned to flights, there are times that we may not have necessarily found out that we have an inbound crew coming in to take that outbound flight is not going to be available because of a delay, mechanical situation, fog in a city, ice in a city. So some of those things we just found out on short notice just because of the sheer numbers of crews and flight or aircraft that were out of place that we were dealing with.
Talk to us about logistics. We heard the announcement about buses that are available. What if people already left that maybe they're searching downtown right now for a hotel? And then how late will that bus service be available here this evening?
So for those that have already left and aren't here to take advantage of what we're offering now from the announcement, we're also putting it on our main page of Southwest.com. They will also hear that when they call our reservations agents to speak to them as well. We will take care of them exactly the same regardless. You know, at this point, we highly suggest and ask our folks, do what you need to do if you've already left. Take care of yourself, do what you need to do for your family, keep your receipts, and reach out to us at Southwest.com or our reservations number, 1-800-435-9792, and speak to one of our employees, and we will make sure they are taken care of. That is not a question.
You can continue watching this press conference on our streaming app, wherever you stream ABC 13 and at ABC13.com. We'll be right back with more.